Hello and welcome to my educational influencer interview on Chapter 8, Building Trust, which is also where my workshop series begins. And I'm really fortunate to have actually somebody that participated in my Leading Effective Teams workshop, Adam Hill, who's also a principal now. And, he's going to be sharing with us today the strategies he uses to help his teams build. With that in mind, Adam, thank you so much for joining today and contributing your experience to this topic. Can you please give a quick introduction for yourself?
Sure, and thank you for inviting me. And your workshops and presentations have always been so valuable to me, and all the coaching you've offered in between. So it's my pleasure to be here. So hi everyone, I'm Adam Hill. Originally from the UK, but I moved to Hong Kong in 2014. During that time, I've been having several leadership roles in middle leadership, several teaching roles. And in 2022, I moved to Shenzhen, China. And like Michael said, I'm now the foreign principal. So in bilingual schools in China, that's quite a common thing to have a foreign principal and a Chinese principal. And we work in partnership. So that's kind of my middle leadership journey into senior leadership.
Yeah. And it's actually quite an amazing one because Adam in many ways fast-tracked himself. And it's not just because of taking advantage of opportunities. The one thing that's always excited me about Adam's journey is that he really invests a lot of himself into what he does. An example of that, ISC research has identified him of one of the top 40 educational influencers. So congratulations on that, Adam.
Thank you.
Really at the end of the day, considering, what you put into teaching, what you put into leadership, what you put into everything outside of your own school, what's driving you? What's really, what's the passion that provokes you to take on such amazing feats?
Well, thank you for that. I just think I've just got a great passion for what I do, both in teaching children and allowing children to flourish, but also in teachers and just leading teachers. Those two things are my passion. So as a principal, I can do those things, and all my work online supports that. And so I'm driven by the impact that my online work has. It's entirely selfish. I gain so much from it, and all the connections I have online and the work that I do has made me a better teacher and a better leader. So it's, I think I have great belief in my ability to get better. So that drives me. I think it's had such a positive impact on me, the work that I do and the connections that I have, that it's very motivating to keep going, because I know that I'm always getting better and there's always room for growth.
So you've identified all the things that I think are so important for any aspiring leader or even experienced leader, that, growth doesn't stop with the role. There's always something more we can learn. There's always something more we can contribute, right, if not to our students, to our colleagues. So really what you've just evidenced there in terms of the work that you do in and out of the school actually aligns. So everything that you're doing outside of the school is what you bring back into the school, right, and then you go out and share it with the rest of the world, which provokes more sharing from them. And right, you kind of create this self-sustaining professional development growth cycle that is really quite amazing. So that was great that ISC recognized you for that, and something that I think all leaders need to be investing themselves in, not to see it as a burden, but seeing it as an opportunity for constant and continuous improvement.
I've never seen it as a burden. I really enjoy it. I really see the value in it. So I've always been motivated to keep going. And just to pick up on what you said about being an influencer, I have a mixed relationship with that word. It means different things to different people. But ISC really, those 40 people were recognized for the online collaboration and their online influence to the profession. So it really means a lot to me that I was recognized for the right reasons.
Yeah, but I think it comes back to the fact that not only are you learning, but you're contributing, and creating a network like that and giving back is I think really key to leadership. So this kind of comes to our next question about your own middle leaders. Now you're in senior leadership. You're the foreign principal at your school. What hopes and aspirations do you have for your middle leaders?
Well, I hope that I'm the kind of leader, not hope, that doesn't sound very intentional. I'm going to work hard to make sure that I'm kind of that I had in Hong Kong. Ross and other leaders that I had in Hong Kong who really saw something in me before I saw it in myself. It's like at the weekend I was listening to Stephen Covey, and he said, treat people according to their potential, not their behavior. And people in Hong Kong really did that with me. They saw potential in me before I did. And I've always appreciated that. They empowered me, they supported me. And that's why I'm doing this now. And that's what I want to be to our middle leaders.
Yeah, that's great. And like, you know, by being able to share that experience, to share that story, and even to, I think, just share with them how they can do it little by little, that it doesn't have to be done all at once. It's not a weekend workshop. It's something that you continuously think about and reflect is important.
And then as well, I know you write about this and talk about it a lot, but I want my middle leaderships to know how valuable they are. I think you refer to them as change agents, and they really are. They're so valuable to a school, and I'm going to make sure they know that.
Yeah. So now, to really help with change and transformational change, these change agents, our middle leaders, they obviously need to inspire collaboration in their teams. They need to influence teams to work interdependently towards a shared goal. So having not only done the Leading Effective Teams course, now being in a senior leadership position where you're trying to drive collaboration in your school, what advice do you have for middle leaders to help them form their teams such that they have a foundation for collaboration?
Yeah, I think it's really important that they build trust within their teams, to make sure I know you talk a lot about collaborative teams, and not just what's the word you use? Not just a
Cooperative.
And the cooperative working group, right? It's essential that they build trust, and everybody in the group is interdependent. And there are lots of different ways to do that. I think we read in my old school in Hong Kong, we did a book study on the adaptive schools, and I know you're familiar with that work, and the 7 norms of collaboration. And we did a lot of work on that before, and that's something I'm hoping to do here as well, to make sure our middle leaders are familiar with that work and all of those really important ideas. I was also reading something recently that I shared with our middle leaders. Yeah, I think it's just so simple, but so powerful. And this was from Joe Sanfilippo. I don't know if you're familiar with him. I might be saying his name wrong. But he just has a very simple idea that every time you notice somebody doing something amazing in school, first you've got to recognize it, make sure they know, by acknowledging. So tell them that they're doing something amazing, but then extend. And it's the extension that's normally missing. And that's making sure other people know that they're doing something amazing. And there's just those 3 simple steps are so transformational, just making sure people are acknowledged for the amazing work they do and share it. And it doesn't have to be to the whole school, just in whatever way is appropriate for that person in that situation. Just make sure other people know about it.
I mean, that's powerful even within a team, because a lot of teams get siloed, but they can still do that. A middle leader can recognize somebody for a great lesson plan and then share it out so that everybody else can benefit from those ideas. And then guess what? Their students get to benefit. That's the power, right?
Exactly.
So when you come back to this idea about building trust, it's interesting because when I think about what it takes to build trust, you know, what are the types of things, what are the practical things, the little things that a team can do to build trust over the course of a school year?
Yeah, I think just always have each other's backs and always support each other. Keep your commitments. If you've promised to do something, make sure you do. And these are just little things that can break trust if you get it wrong. But just make sure you're always supporting each other, always sticking to your commitments, like I said. And I think just showing a real interest in people and what they're doing, and not just their work life, but their personal life. You know, if they're having any problems at home, just really be there for them as a whole person, not just a teacher. And that's through those little conversations and exchanges. I think that's how we build trust over time.
And incredibly, it's not like some type of skill. It's not some type of like equation or strategy or tool that you need to use, like the 7 norms of collaboration. It's really just that interpersonal awareness.
It sounds easy, but it's easy to forget about these things when you're having a stressful day and a busy day. So even though it's easy, I think you have to be quite intentional about it. You know, to the point where the recognize, acknowledge, extend thing, I've written it down on my desk to remind myself, because it's such a simple thing that I can do, and I don't want to forget.
And you know what? I also love the way you use the word intentional, because even at the beginning of our interview, you talked about like you threw out the word hope, and we're just like, wait, you know, that doesn't sound very intentional. What I want to do. And I think those little things also contribute to building trust in a team, because it contributes to commitment, which is so important. And then, like you said, we honor those commitments. We see them through. We're mindful of them. That's some powerful advice right there, along with one other thing you mentioned, that you engage in learning around it too. So like you said, you did a book study as a team, and that helps to draw an awareness around, how highly effective teams work. But now here's something that happens in all schools. Not all teams get off to a great start. And not that they should be expected to, because sometimes they need to work on the cooperative stuff, the transactional stuff. But imagine a team has worked through the start of the school year. They haven't built much of a foundation for trust. This is a two-part question, and my last question for you today is, can they make up for it in the middle of the year? And if they are going to make up for it at the middle of the year, what are some things they can do?
Yeah, well, I think this is the perfect question for me. It really got me thinking, because when I first read that question about having a bad start to the year, my interpretation was, something terrible maybe happened, or you lose trust, or the conflict, or something like that. But then when I really thought about it, I realized that it probably applies to the year that we're having now. I think our year started not bad, but it could have been better. And for exactly the reasons you said, I think we just had to focus on the transactional admin stuff. Because for a little bit of context, we're a brand new school here. So when we started in August, it was just a building. So there was just so much work to do just so that the school could function. So it's not that I regret that, because I don't think we had a lot of choice. The school had to open, the school had to function and be safe and organized. But I think we lost valuable time that could have been spent on team building. So I think this question really applies to us. I think we didn't do enough at the beginning of the year to build those teams. And I think there's more we can do now.
Great. So just because the year is half done doesn't mean the year is over. It means that you can actually use this point to say, hey, what do we want to achieve in the remainder of the year? And just recently, I wrote a blog post that really talked about, don't give up on collaboration, be audacious. Set yourself a goal with your team for the next 30, 60, or 90 days to do something big with your students, or to demonstrate collaboration. And, maybe a quick win could be what you need to really fuel you for next year.
Yeah, exactly. And I think there's work we can do now to make sure that next year is better, and we do more of these activities next year. But I want that to start now. Team building is such an ongoing effort, not just at the beginning of the year. But there are some great activities that you suggest in your book. I've forgotten the names of them, but there's one about quotes that I really liked. Do you know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah, the three card quotes. Yeah. So that's a good one.
That will be really important, just to, we're international staff here, and I think we're a bit of a merge between international and local here as a private independent school in China. So there are lots of different philosophies and backgrounds that I think an activity like that will be so helpful in bringing people together and finding that common ground.
Yeah. Well, hey, Adam, I just want to thank you so much for taking some time to really share your experience and ideas with my audience. It's been a pleasure, as always. Thank you again.
Thank you, Michael. My pleasure. Nice talking to you.